Welcome, friends, to the Sunday talk to the United Lodge of Theosophists of Washington, D.C. that is located in Manassas, Virginia. And the ULT D.C. is one of the lodges that are independent and profess independent devotion to the cause of Theosophy without profession attachment to any theosophical organization. Its members are engaged in the true service to humanity without distinction of race, creed, sex, condition, or organization. And the United Lodge of Theosophists of Washington, D.C. welcomes everyone who is in accord with its principles and declares themselves to be of devotional study and search for the truth beyond all truth. And today we will be celebrating a very special day. And this is a White Lotus Day when we commemorate the founder of the Theosophical movement, Ms. Helena Blavatsky. And we will have a short overview of her biography to be preceded with the readings and then biographical talk. Helena was born in 1831 in Dnipropetrovsk, Ukraine, at that time under Russia. And it was born to Colonel Peter Alexandrovich von Hahn and the novelist Helena Andreevna Fadeyeva. And at age 16 in 1849, she was married to Blavatsky, and that was one of the unfortunate but turned out to be fortunate events that led her on a 20-year journey across the world, where she traveled extensively and where studied mystical traditions of the world and also established the contact with the masters of whose knowledge she passed out to us. In 1833, Madame Blavatsky arrived in New York, and in July of 1875, she was urged to establish Philosophical Religious Society, and she began work on it with Henry Steele Alcott and William Q. Judge, and that was the formation of Theosophical Society. She started to write her first major work shortly after, and that was Isis Unveiled. And after its publication in 1877, she proceeded with Alcott for India. In 1884, Madame Blavatsky returned to Europe and began work on she proceeded to stay in Europe, and then on behalf of the Theosophical Society, she began work on the Sacred Doctrine. And in 1888, the same year, she was aided by a judge in forming the esoteric section of the Theosophical Society. Short afterwards, she wrote The Key to Theosophy and The Voice of Silence. And in 1890, she became head of the newly established European section. Madame Blavatsky died in London in 1891 after years of chronic illness, and she left us an enormous legacy that we are celebrating today. And I would like to proceed to the first reading.
Please try to log in again. Y'all hear me?
They're there. Yeah, everyone is there.
Okay.
Can everyone hear us?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. The first reading will be from Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna, what, O Keshava, is the description of that wise and devoted man who is fixed in contemplation and confirmed in spiritual knowledge? What may such a sage declare? Where may he dwell? Does he move and act like other men? Krishna, a man is said to be confirmed in spiritual knowledge when he forsaken every desire which enters into his heart, and of himself is happy and content in the self through the self. His mind is undisturbed in adversity. He is happy and contented in prosperity, and he is a stranger to anxiety, fear, and anger. Such a man is called a Muni, When in every condition he receives each event, whether favorable or unfavorable, with an equal mind which neither likes nor dislikes, his wisdom is established, and having met good or evil, neither rejoiced at the one nor is cast down by the other. He is confirmed in spiritual knowledge when, like the tortoise, he can draw in all his senses and restrain them from their wanted purposes. The hungry man loses sight of every other object, but the gratification of his appetite, and when he is become acquainted with the Supreme, he loses all taste for objects of whatever kind. The tumultuous senses and organs hurry away by force the heart even of the wise man who strives after perfection. Let a man restraining all this remain in devotion at rest in me, his true self. For he who has his senses and organs in control possesses spiritual knowledge. He who attends to the inclinations of the senses, in them has a concern. From this concern is created passion. From passion, anger. From anger is produced delusion. From delusion, a loss of the memory. From the loss of memory, loss of discrimination. And from loss of discrimination, loss of all. But he who, free from attachment or repulsion for objects, experience them through the senses and organs, with his heart obedient to his will, attains to tranquility of thought. And this tranquil state attained therefrom shall soon result as separation from all troubles. And his mind being thus at ease, fixed upon one object, it embraces wisdom from all sides. The man whose heart and mind are not at rest is without wisdom or the power of contemplation. Who does not practice reflection has no calm. And how can a man without calm obtain happiness? The uncontrolled heart, following the dictates of the moving passions, snatched away his spiritual knowledge as the storm debarked upon the raging ocean. Therefore, O great armed one, he is possessed of spiritual knowledge, whose senses are withheld from objects of sense. What is night to those who are unenlightened is as day to his gaze. What seems as day is known to him as night, the night of ignorance. Such is the self-governed sage. And now we would like to go to the second reading.
Reading number 2 from the Voice of the Silence. Arhants and sages of the boundless vision are rare as is the blossom of the Udumbara tree. Arhants are born at midnight hour, together with the sacred plant of 9 and 7 stalks, the holy flower that opens and blooms in darkness out of the pure dew and on the frozen bed of snow-capped heights that are trodden by no sinful foot. No Arhant or Lanu becomes one in that birth when, for the first, the soul begins to long for final liberation. Yet, O thou, anxious one, no warrior, volunteering fight in the fierce strife between the living and the dead, not one recruit can ever be refused the right to enter on the path that leads toward the field of battle. For either he shall win or he shall fall. Yeah, if he conquers, nirvana shall be his. Before he casts his shadow off his mortal coil, that pregnant cause of anguish and illimitable pain in him will mend a great and holy Buddha honor. And if he falls, even then he does not fall in vain. The enemies he slew in the last battle will not return to life in the next birth that will be his. But if thou wouldst nirvana reach or cast the prize away, let not the fruit of action and inaction be thy motive, thou of dauntless heart. Know that the Bodhisattva who liberation changes for renunciation to don the miseries of secret life is called thrice honored. O thou candidate for woe throughout the cycles. The path is one, disciple, yet in the end twofold. Marked are its stages by 4 and 7 portals. At one end, bliss immediate, and at the other, bliss deferred. Both are of merit, the reward. The choice is thine. The one becomes the two, the open and the secret. The first one leadeth to the goal, the second to self-immolation. When to the permanent is sacrificed the mutable, the price is thine. The drop returneth whence it came. The open path leads to the changeless change, nirvana, the glorious state of absoluteness, the bliss past human thought. Thus, the first path is liberation, but path the second is renunciation, and therefore called the path of woe. The secret path leads the arhat to mental woe unspeakable, woe for the living dead, and helpless pity for the men of karmic sorrow. The fruit of karma sages dare not still. For it is written, teach to skew all causes, the ripple of effect as the great tidal wave. Thou shalt let run its course. The open way, no sooner hast thou reached this goal, will lead thee to reject the bodhisattvic body and make thee enter the thrice glorious state of Dharmakaya, which is oblivion of the world and men forever. The secret way leads also to paranirvanic bliss, but at the close of kalpas without number, nirvanas gained and lost from boundless pity and compassion for the world of deluded mortals. But it is said, the last shall be the greatest. Samyak Sambuddha, the teacher of perfection, gave up his self for the salvation of the world by stopping at the threshold of nirvana, the pure state. Thou hast the knowledge now concerning the two ways. Thy time will come for choice, O thou of eager soul. When thou hast reached the end and passed the 7 portals, thy mind is clear. No more art thou entangled in delusive thoughts, for thou hast learned all. Unveiled stands truth and looks thee sternly in the face. She says, sweet are the fruits of rest and liberation for the sake of self, but sweeter still the fruits of long and bitter duty. A renunciation for the sake of others, of suffering fellow men. He who becomes Pratyeka Buddha makes his obeisance but to himself. The Bodhisattva who has won the battle, who holds the prize within his palm, yet says in his divine compassion, for others' sake, this great reward I yield, accomplishes the greater renunciation. A savior of the world is he. Behold, the goal of bliss and the long path of woe are at the furthest end. Thou canst choose either, O aspirant to sorrow throughout the coming cycles. And with that, the reading number 2 ends.
The third reading is from The Light of Asia, Book 8. Pray not, the darkness will not brighten. Ask not from the silence, for it cannot speak. Vex not your mournful minds with pious pains. Ah, brothers, sisters, seek. Not from the helpless gods by gift and hymn, nor bribe with blood, nor feed with fruit and cakes. Within yourselves deliverance must be sought. Each man his prison makes. Each hath such lordship as the loftiest ones. Nay, for with powers above, around below, as with all flesh and whatsoever lives, act maketh joy and woe. What hath been bringeth, what shall be and is, worse, better, last for first, and first for last. The angels in the heavens of gladness reap fruits of a holy past. The devils in the underworlds wear out deeds that were wicked in an age gone by. Nothing endures fair virtues waste with time, foul sins grow purged thereby. Who toiled a slave may become anew a prince, for gentle worthiness and merit won. Who ruled a king may wander earth in rags, for things done and undone. Higher than Indra's ye may lift your lot, and sink it lower than the worm or gnat. The end of many myriad lives is this, the end of myriads that. Only while this wheel invisible, no pause, no peace, no staying place can be. Who mounts will fall, who falls may mount. The spokes go round unceasingly. If ye lay bound upon the wheel of change, and nowhere were of breaking from the chain, the heart of boundless being is a curse. The soul of things fell pain. Ye are not bound. The soul of things is sweet. The heart of being is celestial rest. Stronger than woe is will. That which was good doth pass to better best. I, Bud, who wept with all my brother's tears, whose heart was broken by a whole world's woe, laugh and am glad, for there is liberty. Ho, ye who suffer, know. Ye suffer from yourselves. None else compels. None other holds you that ye live and die, and whirl upon the wheel and hug and kiss its spokes of agony. Its tire of tears, its nave of nothingness, behold, I show you truth. Lower than hell, higher than heaven, outside the utmost stars, farther than Brahm both well. Before beginning and without end, as space eternal and as surety sure, is fixed a power divine which moves to good. Only its laws endure. And now we'll move to the biographical talk.
There's a fourth reading from.
Yes,
Are we doing that after?
yes, that's after this.
Okay.
Huh? So, friends, as the first speaker indicated, the HPB was born August 12 midnight. Cholera epidemic was raging at that time, and she they thought she was going to die, so they had her celebration of life very soon thereafter she was born, but she didn't die, and she was an occultist. And the only way we can really understand occultism is through our own occultism. So she did a lot of things that people come out after about, but she was right in every case. She was tested out. She was right. She was right. Her adventures. She went all over the world. She magnetized the world. She met with many people. It said that she could speak the language. And I think that was the occultism, the power of occultism she has. And but when she left, she also couldn't speak the language anymore, since she apparently was using the brain power of the people around her or something around her that occultists could do. Later on, she exhibited as a small child, these occult powers too. Probably as an innocent child, she didn't do it, but she scared the servants by doing that. Later, Mr. Judge and Mr. Alcott and others witnessed her process of materialization of solid objects, as well as temporary illusions, the duplication of letters of precipitation, strange sounds, and psychokinetic transportation of objects from one room to another, all of which failed in comparison between with the lowest of the lowest illuminated ones who came often late at night when all was still. HPB was an occult being. We could not understand her occultism without through our own occultism. Advanced beings such as she give us hope that we can someday evolve our own occultism so we can be more help to all creatures, great and small. So she spent her 60 years, 59 or something, throughout, traveling throughout in the world. It makes you wonder what if she had time to do anything, to do the thing that all right. Yet she left us with all this information. So she received our order from the master to go to the United States in July 7, 1873. She arrived in New York penniless. Her grandfather and mother were very talented, as was she, and so she made flowers and earned money. Her early money went that way when she first came to New York. In 1875, she met for the first time in her life Mr. Judge, who subsequently led us to him, often named yours till death and after HPB. And Mr. Judge wrote, "It was her eye that attracted me, the eye of whom I must have known in lives long passed away. She looked at me in recognition at that first hour and never stood as that look changed." On November 17, 1875, the Theosophical Society was founded by HPB and her suggestion to William Peter Judge and to Mr. Alcott. Our members included Thomas Edison, Charter Abner Doubleday, and others. The charter noted as the highest development physically and spiritually on earth of the creative cause, man should aim to solve the mystery of his being. He is the procreator of his species, physically, and having inherited the nature of the unknown but palpable cause of his own creation, was possessed in his inner physical self, this creation power in lesser degree. It's huge. So thinking of three fundamentals, that's the first fundamental. He should therefore study to develop his latent powers and inform himself respectively the laws of magnetism, electricity, and all other forms of force, whether of the seen or unseen universes. The society teaches and expects as follows to personally exemplify the highest morality and to propose the materialism of science in every form of dogmatic theology. Science is HPV. HPV also said that science is the theosophy's friend because they sometimes take forever to find out, but most of the stuff it's the stuff that they were able to prove on what was in the secret doctrines and all most in the late 1800s was proved to be correct. No, that's not the reason why they say science is their friend, but they're saying that science does help eventually help us get there. It might take a long time. So HPV held open house every evening there in New York from 1876 to 77. Many prominent persons they called on her. Lively discussions would ensue, lasting sometimes in the early morning. HPV also wrote her first book, Isis Unveiled, Volume 1, me see what I can show a copy of it. And it is, and really, it's amazing that she did this with about 5 years when she was able to speak English. She was Russian speaking. So, volume 1 deals with science, and volume 2 with theology. And let's just collaborated closely with HPB in one of these recorded quote. Isis Unveiled is exhibited in most research. The strange part of this is, as I and many others can testify as eyewitnesses, that the writer had no library in which to take research and possessed no notes of investigation or reading previously done. All was written straight out of hand, and yet it is full of references of the book in the British Museum, another great library, and every reference is correct. Either then we have in that book a woman who was capable of storing in her memory on the math of facts, dates, numbers, titles, and subjects, such as no other human being was able ever could do, or her claim to help from unseen things is just. On December 29, 1877, the London Public Opinion called Isis Unveiled, quote, one of the most extraordinary works of the 19th century. And we still have that in print, the way it was published back then. HPB wrote, Isis Unveiled contains the masses of original and never hitherto divulged information on all subjects, neither ideas nor teachings of mine. Every word of information found in this work or in my later writings come from the teachings about Eastern masters. And many a passage in these works has been written by me under their dictation. Colonel Alcott wrote, the unusual richness of her intellectual nature, the delicacy and swiftness of her law, her marvelous faculty and understanding, grasping and assimilated the most difficult subjects, such as world would require from anybody else years of laborious study. These gave her such an unusual superiority that she could never avoid attracting general attention, and the consequent envy and animosity of all those who, in their trivial inferiority, felt wounded by the splendor of the faculties and talents of this really marvelous woman. And she couldn't help but attract attention. And that's also gave her a lot of problems too, as you will hear later in her own words. In 1878, July 1878, she proudly became a naturalized citizen of the United States. In 1879 and 80, she traveled widely in India, influenced the minds of those who led the movement to gain India's eventual independence. In December 1880, the family motto of the Maharaja of Veneers was adopted, but the which was, there is no religion higher than truth. December 1884 found her in words very seriously ill. Countess Launchbar cares for her. HPV began writing The Secret Doctrine, even though she was sick. In April 1886, the first issue of Mr. George's The Path came out. HPV called it pure booty. respect for HPV and for the TS group under Mr. Judge's leadership in America. In March 1887, an exhausted HPV fell into a coma from which she revived, as has happened several times in the past. May 1, 1887 finds HPV now in London, where her friends have arranged a place for her to stay and work. She labored day and night to bring the secret doctrine to a conclusion. A concerned Countess Watchwife tried to get her to take rest breaks, but that was a job for her to Countess Watchwife to get her to stop doing what she was doing. In 1887, September, the first issue of HPV's magazine, Lucifer, appeared to bring to light the hidden things in darkness. HPV said Lucifer, the light bearer, is the morning star, and Lucifer is no profane or satanic title. 1888, December. Mr. Judge comes to London to help HPV in drafting the rules and pledge relating to the esoteric second. Mr. Judge also visited Dublin and inspired the new generation of Irish poets in the writers, W.D. Yeats and George W. Russell. You may have heard Mr. Judge refer to when we talked about him, when we were talking about HPV, he gets referred to again. The two of them were like that. They were very special. HPV put this out, but the judge made it so that the Western couldn't understand it. 1888, October 20th, volume 1 of the Secret Doctrine is published. And we got a copy of that right here. Many pages. Two sections. Volume 1, Genesis, the evolution of the earth and the universe. Volume 2 covers anthropogenesis, the evolution of man on our earth, his future role, and the goals of evolution. The Secret Doctrine is based on verses of stanzas of the Book of Zon, Zon meaning wisdom, and writing in a style quite different from that of Isis Unveiled. It is both philosophically profound as well as the accurate history of the evolution of nature and of man and of the origins of religion. The evolution of the universe is seen to be similar to that of our Earth. The evolution of the form of man follows the evolution of the inner invisible sheaths of man's soul. Man is essentially a mind soul. He is constantly dealing with the evolution of nature all around him, including that which passes through him. As above, so below is really what that says. About the Secret Doctrine, HPV wrote, I have here made only a nosegay of cold Eastern flowers, and have brought nothing of mine own but the string ties them. He found it, but she said it was not hers. Dr. Hyatt of Sanford, Connecticut, spent many years tracing the quotations and references that HPV used in the Secret Doctrine. He observed, it is difficult to appreciate the wealth of material quoted and the diversity of subjects included. They are scattered throughout the thousands of pages in the two volumes. So the reader may gain a better understanding of the inclusiveness of all the different aspects of each subject presented, and that the secret doctrine is not the dogmatic presentation of any one religion or any one philosophy or of any one science. Many of the finest minds of her time were influenced by the ideals that the secret doctrine expounded, and they're still influenced by them too. 1889, July, HPV published a key to theosophy. Here it is. We're going through this now. We're studying this twice a month. And it's got some really easy to understand and very important statements in it. It is written in a question and answer format so that our students may learn what theosophy is and in turn use it to teach others inquiries. The second edition, published in 1890, contains a 60-page glossary. In 1889, HPV wrote her last book, The Voice of the Silence. It's a little book. You hear somewhere? So what is the fun? Not final. There is. It's got a tremendous amount of information to go by in these few pages. It is dedicated to the few, to those who desire to make the theosophy a living power in their lives. In July 1889, HEB was asked to open a club for poor women in a poor section of London for working women. She did that. In 1890-91, the transactions of the Blavtasky lives were issued. It's amazing in just a few months what they did, and then the recorded right there when she was on this. She was in the body back then. 1891, May 8th, after suffering from chronic kidney disease for many years, she succumbed to the flu epidemic raging in London. She died at 2:25 p.m. with the presence of several of her friends. Her last words are reported. Her friends present said, "Keep these flames unbroken. Let not my incarnation be in fact a failure." And it's up to us to continue to keep that link unbroken. The press around the world took note of her passing and took opportunity to discuss her work in theosophy again and again. This heritage is available still in its original form. It shows us the path to perfection that we can all take if we steadfastly do so. That our universe and all therein are from the same source, and that all evolve by natural impulse up to the human level, after which time we proceed by self-devised methods. Excuse me. Each of us is a divine being, a God in the making, if we choose to work in sync with the laws of nature. A survey of the mission makes you probably can't read it, but let's go and we'll read this off to you, and it will be on the internet. It focuses attention on the Lodge of Living Adepts. It said that there's no need to have this, if it weren't leading anywhere, then it leads us to the adepts, specifically on their service of humanity, as the present preservers of knowledge and wisdom down the ages, and their help in individual progress when merited through moral excellence. So they're to help, but we have to do the work. 2, it declares man's immortality as a spiritual being, since a portion of the universal spirit is in him, as it is in all other beings in nature. It demonstrates the universal reign of law, which no being, however powerful, can transgress. It shows, number 4, it shows that how cycles of civilization arose and fell. And number 5, it declares that a sincere and conscientious application of the innate sense of morality everyone has, the voice of conscience and intuition. We hear that little voice inside of sometimes. That's one always said, pay attention to that voice. It's the only key to spiritual and occult progress. That's what this says. 6, it demonstrates the existence of the invisible astral spiritual realms of being within the physical. And number 7, karma, the law of moral compensation and reincarnation are shown to be the active agents and the process of man's evolution. Man alone is the maker of his own destiny. He has the inalienable power to choose. Man can choose life below it. It just goes by natural impulse. But we once become people, once become man, then we choose to go bad or good. Each individual can choose to be on the path of selfishness, associated with materialism, or joining the undertaking, and join the few undertaking sustained efforts on the path to greatness, the HPP 42, thus elevating mankind from this dark age and ushering in the golden age, which is the next age, or after many years of. But we have opportunities in this iron age that we don't. They come much faster. So we have. So maybe I guess we're fortunate to be going through this and learning this. Sometimes we feel like we get overwhelmed. I'm sure, but I do anyhow. From the first of HP's writings to the last of her some 2,000 or more articles entitled My Books, there is an unbroken continuity of ideas, a single theme, the same basis of propositions that describes the world situation. Its emanation from the absolute unknowable as the first fundamental, as an all-inclusive deific source. It evolves according to regular laws of progression, which take into account every part and aspect of being, including the atom, and the universe. Evolution is continuous, universal, and involves every atom of the living universe. Some of the great names that influences received by the Theosophical movement, or a few of them named already. Dr. Albert Einstein kept a copy of The Secret Doctrine on his desk for ready reference. Thomas Edison, the inventor, of whom and founder of the Indian National Congress, a body active in securing independence for India in 1948. Gandhi, Nehru, and the list goes on. The theosophical movement introduced in the 19th century has promoted comfort and enormous change of thinking and a more compassionate regard based on society and creatures of the world around us. Science has advanced tremendously, at least in areas that are measurable at the material level. It is promising, it is advanced, we believe, otherwise, but we just can't necessarily measure it. It is possible, but by modern scientific standards. It is promising that leading scientists have such work, the Dalai Lama, although the main science still seems to reject the idea of the science of the soul of as much as it extends beyond the material, measurable level of today's scientific tools. They were trying to work with the Dalai Lama to extend their tools, I believe. The word science, theosophy is known to many, even if they are unsure of the doctrines and ideas of the teaching, ideas or the teachings that's in the teachings. Theosophy has served to introduce some ancient Sanskrit terms into our everyday language, such as karma. It's commonly understood these days, although it's misunderstood, it's at least out there. Dharma, yoga, nirvana, the Bhagavad Gita, the Mahatma, the theosophical doctrines like reincarnation, the law of justice, universal spirit, and all that is within the teachings. Astral body, natural light, universal evolutionary, the moral universe, universal, invisible universe, consciousness, intelligence residing in the forms of psycho-civilization or some powerful ideas defined and integrates into philosophy of living. HPV left us over 6,500 pages of works, and this will be on the internet too. Well, that's what she did. That's just basically the title of a lot of things, like ISIS Unstable. It's a couple lines there. Okay, the secret doctrine. It's ISIS Unstable. It's 1,300 pages. The secret doctrine is two volumes of 1,500 pages. Just those two books. And then we have the index of the secret doctrine in 1939, 180 pages that she was came out of her work. The key to theosophy for 1889, 210 pages, which is through that. Mentioned that one too. Shows you that. The Voice of the Silence, 1889, verbatim reprint of the original text, which was verified by Mr. Judge. The Theosophical Glossary was 1892, was 389 pages. As a facsimile report is what we have available. Translations of the book for Lodge, 1889, pages, 106 pages. Modern Panorama, 504 pages. His Theosophical Articles, 3 volumes, 1,500 pages. 3 theosophical articles, and a whole bunch of other things in there. 310 pages, 5 messages to American Theosophists, 32 pages, 5 years of theosophy by HPV, and 5 facsimile reprinted of the 1885 page, 105 pages. In attacks on HPV, how she did this, we don't know. but how she withstood all this going on around her, was just amazing, that too. The attacks made on her theosophy have been aimed at discrediting HPB. No one has yet successfully attacked or disproved the validity of any of the propositions she advanced under that name, nor any of the historical facts she set forth, which is absolutely amazing. There's a lot of facts, the historical facts here. The greatest proportion of these attacks made on HPV have been alleged to have occurred between the periods of her travel, which is up to 1871. From 1871 and onwards, she lived under the pitiless glare. This is her words. Under the pitiless glare of publicity, and during that period alone, the accusations made have been found to be provable or valid. She wrote, this is what she said. For the last 15 years, an incessant shower of ugly accusations has been poured upon me. Every liable charge, from immorality and the Russian spy theory, down to my acting on false pretenses of being a chronic fraud and a living lie, and a habitual drunkard and emissary of the Pope, paid to break down spiritualism, which is not true either, and Satan incarnate. Every slander that can be thought of has been brought to bear upon my private and public life. The fact that not a single one of these charges has ever been substantiated. I have lived surrounded by friends and foes alike, as in a glass house, nothing could help stop these wicked, venomous, and thoroughly unscrupulous tongues. So she said that if we wanted to honor her life, we could get together every year and read from the three books you heard before, and we have a fourth reading, which will be coming from the Voice of the Silence. Hopefully, this book right here. Think or not.
Okay.
A short reading from that, and we'll have that now.
Okay, reading from the Secret Doctrine. Since the beginning of the Atlantean race, many millions of years have passed, yet we find the last of the Atlanteans still mixed up with the Aryan element 11,000 years ago. This shows the enormous overlapping of one race over the race which succeeds it. Though in character and external type, the elder loses its characteristics and assumes the new features of the younger race. This is proved in all the formations of mixed human races. Now, occult philosophy teaches that even now, under our very eyes, the new race and races are preparing to be formed, and that is in America that the transformation will take place and has already silently commenced. Pure Anglo-Saxons are hardly 300 years ago. The Americans of the United States have already become a nation apart, and owing to a strong admixture of various nationalities and intermarriage, almost a race sui generis, not only mentally, but also physically. Thus, the Americans have become in only 3 centuries a primary race, pro tem, before becoming a race apart and strongly separated from all other now existing races. They are, in short, the germs of the 6th subrace, and in some few hundred years more will become most decidedly the pioneers of that race which must succeed to the present European or 5th subrace in all its new characteristics. After this, in about 25,000 years, they will launch into preparations for the seventh subrace, until, in consequence of cataclysms, the first series of those which must one day destroy Europe, and still later the whole Aryan race, and thus affect both Americas, as also most of the lands directly connected with the confines of our continent and isles, the sixth root race will have appeared on the stage of our round. The fifth will overlap the sixth race for many hundreds of millenniums, changing with it slower than its new successor, still changing in stature, general physique, and mentality, just as the fourth overlapped our Aryan race, and the third had overlapped the Atlanteans. This process of preparation for the sixth great race must last throughout the whole sixth and seventh subraces. But the last remnants of the fifth continent will not disappear until some time after the birth of the new race, when another and new dwelling, the sixth continent, will have appeared above the new waters on the face of the globe, so as to receive the new stranger. To it also will emigrate and settle all those souls who shall be fortunate enough to escape the general disaster. Thus it is that the mankind of the New World, one by far the senior of our old one, a fact men had also forgotten, of Pautala, the antipodes, or the netherworld, as America is called in India, whose mission and karma it is to sow the seeds for a forthcoming, grander, and far more glorious race than any of those we know of at present. The cycles of matter will be succeeded by cycles of spirituality and a fully developed mind. On the law of parallel history and races, the majority of the future mankind will be composed of glorious adepts. Humanity is the child of cyclic destiny, and not one of its units can escape its unconscious mission or get rid of the burden of its cooperative work with nature. Such is the course of nature under the sway of karmic law, of the ever-present and the ever-becoming nature. For, in the words of a sage, known only to a few occultists, quote, "The present is the child of the past, the future the begotten of the present. And yet, O present moment, knowest thou not that thou hast no parent, nor canst thou have a child, that thou art ever begetting but thyself? Before thou hast even begun to say, I am the progeny of the departed moment, the child of the past, thou hast become that past itself. Before thou utterest the last syllable, behold, thou art no more the present, but verily that future. Thus are the past, the present, and the future, the ever-living Trinity in one, the Mahamaya of the Absolute Is." And that concludes the fourth reading selection from the Secret Doctrine.
Thank you. Well, we have our work cut out for us, or we can choose not to do anything too, or do the opposite. But we have an opportunity to not keep this, to keep this link unbroken, and continue with this work the way we see fit. You're invited to join any of the ULTs, including this one, and help us with the work. We can always use help in time, money, and effort to keep this link unbroken. Thank you, and we'd like to open call the comment, was anybody, comments? Yes, so, we set enough for the day, and, we're gonna, take a little break, and then we have, the Pangelis yoga after the start setting in about 10 minutes.
Go quickly, make coffee.
Yeah.